Who are Windward Ireland and what do we hope to achieve? Now, it is accepted by the majority of climate scientists that CO2 emissions need to be reduced to ensure the long-term sustainability of our planet. And Windward Ireland encourage and support actions that do reduce CO2 in a sustainable manner. So what is the problem with wind energy? There is a large body of evidence which says that wind energy is ineffective at reducing CO2 emissions and that it is very expensive. It makes electricity very expensive. And a little bit of detail, because the devil is in the detail. Electricity is difficult to store and supply is constantly being adjusted to meet demand. Wind is intermittent. It produces little or no electricity for about 70% of the time. For the 30% of the time when it is producing electricity, coal and gas plants continue to run in the background to provide support that can come in on short notice. And this is called spinning reserve or plant cycling. Wind forecasting does help, but many of the backup plants operate at 50% efficiency, so burn twice as much fuel per unit of electricity produced. So the key question is, what is the net saving in CO2 and fuel burned from using wind energy? That's the question. And remember, the only reason that we are developing wind turbines, or the primary reason, is to reduce CO2. So if wind is not effective at reducing CO2, that raises a big question. The Fred Udo study, which examined the Irish grid in 2011, found that spinning reserve could quarter claimed fuel savings. Quarter them. Sustainable Energy Ireland produced a report in February of this year, which was an overview of 2012, and it looked at the energy mix in 2012. And they estimated that wind energy was saving 2.3% of overall fuel used and CO2 saved. We import €6.5 billion worth of fuel every year, and that report estimated that the saving was 152 million, so that's the 2.3%. However, this 2.3% did not include spinning reserve, and they state that quite clearly in the report. So if you included spinning reserve, it is possible and likely that this saving will go to below 2% and possibly even below 1%, if Fred Udo's study is accurate. This small saving of between 1 and 2% has come on the back of 20 years investment in wind energy. Billions of euros, 1,200 turbines and a substantial investment in our grid. And it is also likely that future wind developments will yield zero or very little carbon saving into the future. All energy projects must fulfill the 3 pillars of sustainability. They must prove that they are environmentally sustainable, economically sustainable and socially sustainable. The current debate that has raged for the last year or two has largely focused on social sustainability, on community concerns about noisy turbines, reduced property values, damaged landscapes, affected sleep and the health impacts of living close to turbines or pylons. In fact, over 200 groups have formed in a little over a year in response to these issues. Their fears are relevant, they're genuine and they should be addressed properly. However, we believe that the debate on wind energy and the national grid must be widened. If wind energy is ineffective at reducing CO2, why are we having a conversation about location of turbines and pylons? The environmental and economic case must be proven first. The effectiveness of wind energy in reducing CO2 and the need for such an extensive grid must be examined, challenged and debated. So our group, Windward Ireland, have come to 3 conclusions. That wind energy is incapable of having a meaningful impact on CO2 emissions as it is currently construed. That wind energy makes electricity expensive, which will impact national competitiveness, it will impact fuel poverty, and it will impact urban dwellers because everybody pays. This is not just a rural issue. And finally, we believe that current government policy is shoddy, it is flawed, and it has carried out no proper analysis or appraisal of this wind energy policy. Government have no idea if these plans represent a net benefit or a net cost to Irish society. No strategic environmental assessment has been carried out. So no proper, overarching assessment of our environment to see what the impact of all this cumulative infrastructure of turbines, pylons and cables will be. And I think it's important to remember, our environment is particularly important to us as an island nation. We use our environment to sell our food. We use it for our tourism. We use it for our turbine industry. Foreign direct investors, when they come here and want to bring in employees, they want a pristine environment, and we have one now. And finally, we are alarmed at the influence that the wind industry seems to have on government policy. An industry which includes many large utilities and many key state companies like Quilty and Bord na Móna. So who were Windaware Ireland? Windaware Ireland were set up in autumn 2013 by 7 wind groups from 3 counties. We are voluntary, we are non-political, we have no vested interests, we have very little money. You'll notice there's no cross-ons down the back. We have committed blood, sweat and tears to build what we believe is a compelling and credible website which references 110 reports. It can and should inform part of this energy debate. We are not prepared to be sidelined as community groups whose only concern is location of infrastructure. And finally, what do we hope to achieve? Windaware Ireland's aim is to reform this Irish government's unsustainable and flawed wind energy policy. Our objective is to ensure that all energy projects fulfil the 3 pillars of sustainability: environmental, economic and social. If we are serious about reducing CO2, I mean really serious about it, we need to find out what is the most effective way to do that. The current policy would seem to be largely developer driven, with strong evidence that it is not working. Colin McCarthy said recently, and I quote, "The wind energy lobby has been remarkably successful in Ireland, where government has been persuaded to pursue high targets for wind penetration, regardless of cost. Our government must be held to account to ensure they act on evidence. No more wind farms or associated grid extensions should be developed until a comprehensive and independent, and I stress independent, cost-benefit analysis and a proper strategic environmental assessment are carried out. This energy policy is flawed, deeply flawed. It is a lame duck." Thank you very much.